Good evening, everyone. Come on, everyone. Evening. Thank you. Now that I have your attention, I want to welcome you to our November 19th, 2024 full board meeting, Manhattan Community Board 11. My name is Xavier Santiago, and I'm the chair of CB11. This meeting is officially called to order at 6:45 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by District Manager Angel Mescane and Community Liaison Marlene Pierre. Before we jump into the meeting, a few ground rules, and I want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. And remind everyone, in order to conduct an efficient meeting, one, no one may speak until granted the floor. Two, CB11 members, if you have a question or wish to speak, please raise your hand, and you should wait till you are recognized. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat function for those that are in the chat should not be used for anything other than CB11 business. Any remarks or questions should be made on the record by using the raise hand function. You can find that in the meeting menu. When a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you. You can unmute yourself so that you may speak. 5, please keep your questions, comments succinct and germane to the discussion. 6, members of the public can register to speak in the public session by completing the pre-registration form and providing their name, affiliation, and what topic they wish to speak about. A link to the registration form has been shared in the chat. Registration for the public session needs to be completed by 7:15 p.m. We will now take attendance by roll call. Rosa?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Again, this is Rosa Diaz, your secretary. Please pay attention. I'm going to call your name twice. Jose Altamirano. Jose Altamirano. Stephanie Arroyo. Stephanie Arroyo. Mark Bogorsky. Thank you. Bondina, Marcel Bondina. Thank you. Then Brija. I just saw him. Yeah, okay. Kenneth Crouch.
Present.
Okay. Jocelyn Cruz. Jocelyn Cruz. Carlos Diaz. Carlos Diaz. Rosa Diaz is myself. Jessica Elliott. Present. Thank you. Judy Febrado. Judy Febrado. Arnice Foster Hernandez. Thank you. Yes, thank you. David Giordano. David Giordano. John Green. Thank you. Pascal Hanu. Thank you. Wanda Hopkins. Thank you. Christina Johnson. Christina Johnson. Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson. Jewel Jones. Thank you. Sage Mason. Thank you. Malik McCulloch. Malik McCulloch. Jennifer Mayer. Jennifer Mayer. Jessica Morris. She's probably coming late. Nilsa Orama. Beverly Pavone is excused. Samantha Pedreiro. Claudia Perez. Thank you. Valerie Ponte. Valerie Ponte. Asher Rodriguez.
Asher is here.
Yeah, I saw Asher. Asher Rodriguez is here. Eugene Rodriguez. Jennifer Rosado. Jennifer Rosado. Dawn Sanders. Dawn Sanders.
Here. Sorry.
Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Thank you. Isaac Scott. Isaac Scott. Russell Schuler. Thank you. Loretta So. Loretta So. Derek Stampone. Present. Thank you. Alida Chickenbaum. Alida Chickenbaum. Okay. Vincent Torres. Anne-Marie Vasquez. Jason Villanueva. Thank you. Ilda Bibes Vasquez. Ilda Bibes Vasquez. Nye Whitaker.
Here.
Justina Williams. Justina Williams. Michelle Wilshire Clemens. Change your last name. Shanique Wolfolk.
Here.
Thank you. Jason Wu. Thank you.
Great. We have quorum. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. There will be 2 changes since we have 2 of our electeds here who have they have to get out pretty quickly. I'm going to recommend we change to accept both the elected officials to be able to speak prior to going into our pre-registered speakers session. If there are no objections with that, we will then carry on with the meeting. Seeing there are no objections, the meeting agenda has been adopted. I will now welcome up Mark Levine, our Borough President, to make a quick report, and then followed shortly thereafter, Senator Serrano. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. All right.
Very good. Well, Community Board 11. How about now? I'm failing here. Guys, can you let me up from the other?
Another microphone.
I can use my teacher voice if we need to.
Oh. Yes.
There we go. Okay. Excellent. Hi, Community Board 11. Great to see all of you. I'm on a high because I was just at the 125th Street Annual Holiday Lights Parade. It was a lot of fun, a lot of loud music and DJs on floats. What's better than that? On a more serious note, this is not the place to get political, but I want to acknowledge that we had something of an earthquake in our election of 2 weeks ago. And I've heard from a lot of people across Manhattan who are really upset and scared. And I want you to know that we got a very strong local government in New York, a strong city government. We got a strong state government with leaders like Senator Jose Marco Serrano. And we're going to fight for the city. We're going to fight for the people and the values and the interests of the city, especially if they come under attack. And I just feel like local government is more important than ever right now. And that includes community boards. That includes this community board. I think the work you're doing now is essential to democracy. And I know it's not always easy, but I want to thank every single one of you for stepping up. And I'm here to support you in every way I can. And I want to talk about some more exciting, uplifting things besides the election. We have, some of you know, we have 2 slots for youth board members on every community board. You have 2 good high school students, is that right? Are any of them here right now? CC?
Community Education Council?
No, here on the board.
No, they aged out. They've now
They
matured.
aged out, okay. But are you over 18 now? Okay, all right. Well, we have had so many young people, high school age people, applying for community board positions, so many of whom we'd had to turn away, which is heartbreaking. Got a young person stepping up. So we've created a borough-wide youth civic leadership fellowship. We consider it almost like a 13th community board. This is for young leaders who will get leadership development, but also will weigh in on the issues of the borough and their community in a formal way through official meetings that we're doing once a quarter. And we're taking applications now. And if you have a young person in your life, the deadline, Porfirio Figueroa, is when? December 1st. And how can a young person apply? So please spread the word. It's a great opportunity. Also looks pretty good on the college resume, just saying, for young people you know and in the community. And I want East Harlem represented. We just finished an incredible round of trainings for community board members and other leaders in the community. Many of you, how many participated in one of our trainings? Okay, good. In case you missed it, don't panic, because we've put all the videos online now, and some of them were very good. We did, for the first time, a training on housing finance. Usually when we talk about housing and stuff, it's more about the land use zoning, but you know, how you're actually going to pay for the housing is quite important and determines whether you get affordable housing or market rate or low income or middle income or whatever mix you might get. And so if you didn't see the housing finance session, check it out online. We also did something for the first time last night. I don't know if any of you saw this, but it was about the legacy of community boards in the era of term limits. And I'm not sure this might have been sneaking up on you, but back in 2019, we did pass term limits. You, the voters. For the record, I didn't support it. The voters passed a referendum ballot question establishing an 8-year term limit, and that's going to be hitting now in the next couple of years. And we realized, we got to document stuff. We got to help the next generation step up when we have to pass the baton. So did a great session last night about that, which I encourage you to check out if you can. Were you on it? How was it? Good. I'll give you your bonus check later for saying that. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. We also did a big land use, speaking of land use, we did a big ULURP response last week here in East Harlem. East Harlem is on an affordable housing winning streak. It's incredible. We recommended approval last week of the Beacon, which is across from Wagner Houses on East 120th Street. It's going to be a pretty big project, over 270 apartments, all affordable and good AMIs, good mix of unit size. We're very excited about that. I'm pretty sure that this board is highly in support of that. Am I correct? Yes, good. You guys are always on the right side of those issues. Thank you for that. Finally, we've just published our first ever senior resource guide, which we've been working on for months, that collects all manner of resources for seniors all across the borough. And a lot of it's organized by neighborhood. So there's a chapter for Community Board 11 that identifies the senior centers and other programs. But we also have chapters on some of the biggest services that seniors need. So financial assistance or financial literacy assistance, how to avoid scams, fitness and wellness support, housing assistance. It's I think like a 50+ page PDF. We've dropped off hard copies at all the senior centers, but you can download yours in a PDF online on the website. So I hope you do. It's really good. We put a lot of work into it. And I think seniors are going to benefit from it. So thank you very much, Community Board 11. I can't remember whether you guys do questions or whether you have time for it, but if you do, I'm happy to take one or two. Yes. Oh, the application? No, it's a lot easier. Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah. Yes.
Asher?
The question is if it's 16 and up or 14 and up for those online.
Notebook video? Yeah, but that could be younger. I think it is 16.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the website for the
You
stuff
can,
regarding the
our
seniors?
website thank you. It's Manhattan BP like Borough President, manhattanbp.nyc.gov. It's all there, but the resource section, if you click under resources, you'll see our senior guide. Okay. I think I've got one more. Okay.
Sage, one more.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here,
Of course.
Mr. Borough President.
Yes, indeed.
My question is about congestion pricing, which I know you've been a great advocate for. Now that it is supposed to come back, and Kathy Hochul has approved, and maybe Senator Serrano can talk about this as well on the state level. But now that it is coming back at like a $9 charge, in regards to how it's going to affect the 2nd Avenue subway, I was wondering if you could speak about, because I know when it was canceled earlier this year, that resulted in us losing the federal grant, which was tied to congestion pricing, and then also losing the revenue that was going to come from congestion pricing, which was going to fund the entire 2nd Avenue subway project. Now that the $9 congestion pricing plan is coming back, does that bring back the federal money? And will the $9 be enough to pay for the rest of the cost of the project?
Great question. Look, I know this is controversial. I'm sure there's very passionate, divided views here on the board, as there is all over the borough and the city and the region. I'll say two things. We desperately need to invest more in mass transit, in our subways, and maintaining what we have, in upgrading the train cars, which are the oldest in North America, and upgrading the signals, which are from World War II, which is why you have so many delays, and renovating stations so we have elevators with accessibility. And also, not just to maintain what we have, but to expand the system. And the most important expansion in New York City right now is the second phase of the Second Avenue subway. And that all of that requires money for the capital plan. And congestion pricing will help a lot on that. But I also don't want to forget the second priority here, which is congestion is out of control in Midtown and downtown. It's out of control. Ambulance response time, fire response time, police response time is going up and up and up. It's actually dangerous. And so congestion pricing will help on both of those fronts. Understanding the challenges, it is going to be a $9 charge. There are off hours, it's a 75% discount. So if you're going overnight, late night or early morning, I guess it's $275. I have to do that math exactly, but it's a much more modest charge off hours. You only pay once a day. You only pay going into the zone, not coming out. Just a few of the details you might care about. There's also a 50% discount for people who are low income, which I believe is under $50,000 a year. The senator will clarify that perhaps. But as to your excellent question, does the cut from $15 to $9 mean we can't fund our capital needs? And actually, we're told by the MTA that we still can. They're going to be borrowing against it. And it might take a little bit longer, but they had a goal of $15 billion that they would issue bonds. To get a little bit technical, they'd have a $15 billion bond issue against this revenue. And the MTA has assured us they can still do that. So that's $15 billion. They need it in the capital plan, and it's still there. And so I think in terms of the federal money, for any technical reasons, it's there. Now, we have a political problem in a new government in Washington, which appears to be, at best, indifferent to mass transit, maybe hostile. You know, I took note of something very small, but when they appointed the new commissioner of the U.S. Department of Transportation, in the 5-paragraph press release all about him and his priorities, there was no mention of mass transit or rail or buses or subways or any of that. Really, all they talked about was highways and airplanes. So I'm worried about that. But we've done our part. And our money's going to be there. And this is tough for Governor Hochul. There's no winning politically in this issue. But in the end of the day, it is the right thing. And kudos to my friends in Albany who also did the right thing, even though it was tough politically.
Thank you.
Okay.
Last one, and then I'm going to move to Senator Serrano.
Just related to congestion pricing, where is the city or the borough on residential parking on the street? Because that's a consequence of, that's not good for this neighborhood. If people are going to be parking here in this neighborhood.
I am very concerned about an increase in people from outside of the neighborhood who will want to dump their cars to hop on the subway downtown to avoid paying the charge. And they don't want to pay for a garage, so they like free parking on our residential streets. And I'm from Washington Heights, so I know that a little bit better, but every morning we see cars with Jersey plates beginning at 7 a.m. circling around that are looking for parking, and then the person hops on the subway, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to get worse now once the charge takes effect. Almost every other big city in the country has residential parking permits. I think you were referencing that. Boston has it. And now many parts of New York State have it. It's been authorized in cities all over the state, including Albany as a city, I think most recently. And I think New York City should have that as well. And I believe it does require state authorization. So that's okay. We have great allies and friends in Albany, like Senator Serrano. I'm not sure if you've weighed in on this issue or not, but won't put you on the spot. But anyway, if the way it works is the state authorizes it, and then the city council can proceed to pass it. And there are bills in the city council that are raring to go, but we would need to. And the way the bill in the council works is it lets every community board decide. So it's a community board by community board thing. So you know what? If East Harlem needs this, then there can be an East Harlem plan. And if some other community board says, "Now we don't want it," it's okay. It would not be a citywide one-size-fits-all thing. But I'm pretty sure every community in Uptown Manhattan is going to want it.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm-
Thank you very
I'm-
much, everyone. Oh, yeah.
Would you mind two quick questions from our attendees that are online? I'm going to go to Nye and then Valerie, if you can make it real brief, so I can keep the agenda moving along. Thank you. Nye, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Chair. Hi, Brother Borough President, how are you? I'm not feeling well, so forgive me for not being there. I had a question about our brush fires. I know you said that local government is going to be now more important than ever, but we have seen that there are some issues between some of our local government agencies and leaders getting along, and there have been cuts to our budgets for parks. The brush fires have now arrived in Harlem and in Washington Heights and Inwoods. I'm very concerned about Marcus Garvey Park, Thomas Jefferson Park, our Fifth Avenue border to Central Park, and was hoping you could speak a little bit about what we are doing as a city to address the issues considering the drought. I know rain is coming tomorrow, but I'm not sure that it will solve the problem. And so I was hoping you could speak a little bit about our parks, because I know they are important to you as well.
Yeah, do you know that we've had 300 brush fires in New York City in the month of November so far? This is beyond unprecedented. This is not normal. We've never seen anything like that. And we have one burning right now in around Harlem River Drive and 155th Street, which I think is just north of you. What's the northern end of CB11? Yeah, but you probably can smell the smoke. And we have had 20 acres of Highbridge Park burn over the last couple of days. We had 4 acres of virgin forest, old growth forest in Inwood Hill Park burn a few days ago. And we so desperately need rain, but there's just no avoiding the fact that we have global climate change and we're getting this kind of extreme weather. But it is also true that we need to fund our parks department more. We have a forestry division in the city parks. You might not have known that because we have 12,000 acres of forest, and they do very important work to clean out underbrush and maintain the health of the forest. And look, I'm all in on increasing the parks department budget. This is just a reminder of how precious and vulnerable our parks are. So first, we're going to pray for rain. Did you say, Nye, that's coming tomorrow?
It is. It's supposed to be starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but I'm not sure it'll be enough.
Okay, well, anything would be a help. And then we're going to fight for really big increases in our Parks Department budget come next year.
Okay, thank you. Valerie, your question. You're muted if you're speaking. Valerie?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, your question, please.
Okay. Okay, I just want to say good evening, Borough President Levine. I wanted to understand if are we doing anything in specific for the seniors in East Harlem? Like any seminars, any, education wise about how they can survive in this time that we have here?
Well, we've done a ton of programs in person, and were you here, Valerie, when I just talked about our senior guide that we just published?
I know I heard about the guide, but I mean, anything that's being done where there's participation.
We just did a big, we've done a couple trainings on how to prepare a will for seniors that have been incredibly popular. We actually can help seniors do that for free. We have really good legal assistance for that. It's incredibly important and it's intimidating. And that's been very popular. I don't know if we have any upcoming programs that we're offering. Do we, Porfirio? Okay, so if you'll stay tuned, Valerie, apparently we have another in-person training coming up soon for seniors here uptown.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And don't forget to mute yourself after you speak.
Okay.
Wonderful. Borough President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Appreciate
Thank you to all of you. This was a great discussion. Have a great meeting, everybody.
Thank you. And just want to say that for those that don't know, Mark and I have been talking about resident borough parking permit since he took office, and even with Gail Brewer, who preceded. So it's something we all care about, and we appreciate it. And one recommendation beyond the affordable housing, we did our Cornet when Nilsa was the chair, affordable housing, where we demystified it. So thank you for continuing that work. So let's carry on the partnership. Appreciate you being here. Next, we have Senator Serrano, and good to have you here in El Barrio.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the board chair and the district manager and everyone from CB11 for giving me the opportunity to come by and say hello. And also just a word of gratitude to our wonderful borough president, Mark Levine. I'm not overstating when I say that you are a tremendous resource to all of us in elected office. We look to you. You do a lot of research. You do a lot of really the hard work involved with being the borough president, and it really does benefit all of the work we do in all corners of Manhattan. My district covers the Bronx and Manhattan, and I have a wonderful borough president up in the Bronx. And but always grateful to your leadership, friendship on all the things that you do. So thank you for that. I want to also just thank all the members of the public and the board members for giving us this opportunity. Also want to acknowledge my staff member, Oriana, who's here usually when I can't be here. So please feel free to speak with her on any and all issues. A couple of quick things. I know that this meeting needs to proceed, but just a couple of issues I wanted to mention. We in our office, we're hosting a coat drive. It started, we're doing it in partnership with New York Cares. So from now, between now and December 19th, if you have a coat, a gently used coat that you would like to donate to help someone in need, please bring it to my office. I have a collection bin. We will do several drop-offs with New York Cares throughout the season to try to get coats out to people as quickly as possible. My office, as you know, 335 East 100th Street, closer to First Avenue than to Second Avenue. Of course, winter heat regulations on the way over here. It's getting really nippy out there, I notice, and I want to make sure that constituents understand their rights when it comes to indoor heating. Again, if you are having a concern with your landlord not providing adequate heat in your apartment, or if your neighbors know of such, please feel free to reach out to my office. My number is 212-828-5829. We'll be happy to reach out on your behalf. Speaking of seniors, I know the borough president mentioned on the work that he's been doing with seniors, sort of multifaceted. In my office, we hosted 2 emergency preparedness seminars with the State Department of Homeland Security. We had seminars and that were geared to educate and prepare people for the event, or the unlikely event or rare event, as we hope, of an emergency or weather event or some other natural disaster, how to have a ready bag. We gave away ready bags filled with supplies, but we also educated folks on how to look out for themselves and for their homebound neighbors or seniors who maybe cannot get up and down stairs, different things that we can do to help prepare so that we're not caught in a tough situation there. Recently, several of my bills which passed in the New York State Senate were signed into law by the governor. Very happy about that. Several bills involving state parks. I'm chair of the committee on state parks, and very happy that these bills that are designed to prevent, to sort of prevent any kind of dereliction of park buildings, and also to provide for cleanliness of our state parks. And speaking of which, the borough president was talking about the brush fires in places like New York, where we don't normally think about that, right? We think, oh, well, the forest fire in California or out in the Rockies. No, here in Inwood Park, Van Cortlandt Park, you know, you smell it every time you open the window up in the Bronx. And it really shouldn't be happening. I think if there was proper maintenance of the parks, especially removal of brush, if there was proper pruning and things of that nature, you can help avoid a lot of this. Of course, you can't discount the fact that Mother Nature, and in particular climate change, has created a situation where you have a month and a half without any rain. It's not good. But I do believe that having a more proactive approach to how we maintain and look after our parks can help prevent these types of situations happening in the future. I'm still waiting on the governor to sign my cultural districts bill. We have been working really hard on this bill. I want to say thank you to Community Board 11 for everyone who has lent their voice to enhancing and making this bill better. It's really a community effort to try to come up with legislation that really speaks to this phenomena that we have in East Harlem. That is our naturally occurring cultural sector that has been there. It's been the backbone of East Harlem for so long. It is just ready to go with the right amount of support from NISCA, from EDC, from the state. I really believe that this bill is a easy, simple way to ensure that communities like East Harlem that already have a very organic a set of cultural organizations and institutions can now have the technical support, can band together, can be under the umbrella of a state effort to ensure that these institutions can maintain and do what they're there to do. And I think it's really should be said. And just half a step back, I chair the Committee on Arts and Culture, Tourism, and Parks. I come from a background having worked in theater for 6 years prior to becoming an elected official, and I've been in office now. It's my 24th year in public office. I'm chair of the Democratic Conference in the Senate, but one of the biggest focuses of the work that I do is on the arts and culture, often overlooked, not by CB11. I will say all of you care very deeply about the arts. You don't take it for granted. You know how important it is. In Albany, sometimes it's a little different. So we try very hard to ensure that we have proper funding for NISCA. I was very happy that we were able to double arts funding for the New York State Council on the Arts from about 40 million in the executive proposed budget to over 80 million in the final enacted budget. And I believe that should be the floor. I think we should continue to build from there. Really not lose sight of the fact that whether you're in a good economic time or a bad economic time, the arts are an economic driver. They're a tourism driver. But beyond that, they're also a vehicle for discussions on social justice and bringing people together and helping to enhance our communities. Final point that I'll make is, it's funny how you think you turned the page as a society, but now you're thinking about the same things all over again. Many, many years ago when I was a new senator, I worked to create something called East Harlem Against Deportation. This was a task force with all of our elected officials in East Harlem to really zero in and focus on unjust deportations and how that has the potential to tear up our communities. I think now more than ever, there's a lot of trepidation and anxiety about immigration in places like East Harlem and the South Bronx. But as the borough president mentioned, your local representatives will always work together and try to find new and innovative ways of ensuring that we are protecting those who are most vulnerable, those who are often marginalized in our society, in particular our immigrant community, which brings so much to the fabric of East Harlem and our society. So with that, I will conclude and turn it back over to the board unless there's some questions.
Thank you so much, Senator Serrano. Jessica Morris. And the reason we're running the mic over is because this is being recorded. Otherwise, the people on Zoom can't hear it, and it will not be available on YouTube. Go ahead, Jessica.
Thank you. I left my shoes over there. It's like the living room. And thank you for your hard work pushing the cultural districts bill forward. I am aware that NISCA under new leadership has been narrowing its definitions as to what constitute things that it can fund and support. And I want to ensure, it's my understanding that NISCA holds a lot of the cards in the cultural districts legislation in determining what may be eligible for funding streams, et cetera, that specifically architecture is not necessarily considered. And we know that there are some critical components of theaters that make up the heart of where East Harlem may be able to leverage the cultural districts legislation. So is there an opportunity to engage NISCA in their further development of the definitions that will come to define what actually happens as far as where funding goes? And can we ensure that communities like East Harlem that may have an outside of the box understanding of what constitutes culture for our community and how it works in service to both the artists that engage and others who participate, that we're not written out because definitions don't suit the way that culture works here?
That's a very good question, and I would love to, if you'd like, we could meet and have a much deeper discussion about what we know. Short answer, though, is that within the bill, it really calls upon the state to start putting this together. So a lot of the details, strangely, get worked out after the bill is signed into law, which I know doesn't help your point of view, because I think from what I hear you're saying, it'd be great to sort of get that stuff solidified beforehand so that we know. I think what we're trying to do here is move forward with the concepts of cultural districts with enough of the wiggle room so that we can work and negotiate with the state to be able to have those rules be organic enough or malleable enough to address different communities. But I do think, to your point, that maybe we should work to have that done ahead of time. A couple of ways that I think we can do that. First of all, it really depends on what the governor does with the legislation. It did pass both houses of the legislature during our past session. It's on her desk. It is awaiting her signature or veto. There has been a real outpouring of support for the legislation because I think people do feel that conceptually it is worthwhile and that it can have a profound impact, in particular in places like East Harlem and the South Bronx. But I know that I can imagine from the state's point of view, they don't like to be told to do anything, right? You know, they want to act as a separate entity, co-equal branch of government, that legislatively, when we do things to sort of ask another arm of government to do anything, of course, they're going to say, but wait. But I do think that there is enough goodwill, because the arts, unlike a lot of other issues that could be wedge issues, is not, or it shouldn't be. The arts, thankfully, is something that a lot of people do agree upon. The disagreement is how do we pursue the best path forward for that? So sort of a long answer, but I think I can maybe sit with you and we can work out some specifics on what we think we should have there going forward, because it is a very organic process. But again, I think that having the agencies the state agencies that actually will put forth this legislation and enact it into law will be the ones tasked with those things. And they do have some wiggle room there. Any other questions?
One more from Sage, and then who else? Eugene, and then we're going to conclude so we can move the meeting along. Thank you, Senator. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Senator, for being here. I'm Sage Mason, board member. Was hoping, similar to my question to the borough president, if you could talk about the status of the Second Avenue subway, maybe your work in sort of bringing it into fruition, what your response was maybe to the cancellation of the congestion pricing plan, and sort of what the path forward is given the developments in the last just less than a week now.
Right.
Yeah, we'd just love to hear.
Yeah, thank you for that question. There's certainly a lot happening very quickly. I've been supporter of congestion pricing back when Mayor Bloomberg proposed it, 1,000 years ago. And I know that it wasn't always hugely popular to talk about congestion pricing because it was seen as something that would cost people money, but I saw it as a way of sort of shifting the dynamic and how we travel in and out of Lower Manhattan. So the current iteration of congestion pricing, I voted for it. I supported it in Albany. The Second Avenue subway was a big part of my thinking, and a lot of people that represent Harlem and East Harlem. The second phase of the Second Avenue subway, in my mind, probably should have been the first phase, right? Because it would connect, this new phase as it stands is going to do a lot because it's going to connect up to 125th Street, but thereby connecting the Bronx. So now if you're coming in from the Bronx, if you're coming off the 4 train or the D train or any, if you're able to get to the 4 train in the Bronx or the 6, or the 5, you're able to now get into that far east side of Manhattan. You can't do that right now. And it opens up a lot of opportunities for Bronx commuters. I do believe that it's a good thing that the governor is moving forward. It's a different price tag. It's yet to be seen. Again, we're still trying to wrap our heads around this new thing. It was rolled out, it was voted on very, very quickly. So I think details are going to continue to emerge over the next few weeks, and we might be able to get some answers about how much longer it'll take to hit our number. Will that mean delays? Will the federal funding still be there? And we're sort of borrowing against it, as the borough president said. But I really think we cannot afford to delay the second phase of Second Avenue subway at all. It's already long overdue. We have to move as quickly as we can.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Eugene, you had your hand raised, your question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you as well.
I saw him the other day. I
This building
attended,
too.
yeah, I attended a meeting with Union Settlement with a group of cultural organizations from the community. And we were discussing a feasibility study on actually putting money where we needed to create the theater district. I would suggest rather strongly that you start looking at theater or cultural as economic development. You get $12 for, as you pointed out, you get $12 for every dollar they spend in the theater. You don't get a return like that on anything else. So I think we should look at it as economic development.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think for those of us who believe in the arts as transformational, as mental health, physical health, all of these things, we don't necessarily need that part of the discussion because we already love it. We already know its importance. But we cannot lose sight of the fact that it is a huge economic driver for New York State. And maybe other people need to hear that. And I think we have to keep banging that drum. You mentioned the return on investment. I would add to that how that helps other industries, hotels, taxis, restaurants, how it provides other jobs. Like I said, I worked in theater for 6 years. I was not an actor, not that talented, but I was able to see behind the scenes the set designers, the dramaturgs, the costume designers, the carpenters, everything that came from these things. And these were wonderful careers. Yes, they're wonderful, wonderful. So I will certainly take your suggestion, Eugene, and make sure that we do not leave that out of any argument for the arts funding.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Senator Serrano, thank you. I want to commend both our Borough President Mark Levine and Senator Serrano be our first 2 electeds to visit this term in person. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. We're going to now go back into our pre-registered speakers. First one up is Melissa Hoke.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you have. So just so you understand, you have a couple ground rules with this. You have 3 minutes to speak. We recommend 2 minutes to state what you're for or against, and then leave possibly 1 minute open for questions from the board members. All right. And
Okay,
you'll see
thank
the
you.
timer on your screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Melissa Hawk, and I actually wanted to talk to you guys about Intro 0666-2024, which is currently a bill seeking to increase penalties on food establishments violating the Fair Workweek law. And this bill will potentially suspend permits for these establishments if they present a pattern of violations as well. This bill is necessary as the current law is not deterring these companies from taking advantage of our essential workers. The New York City Hospitality Alliance reported in 2023 that the turnover rate in the city for fast food employees is about 75%, and 76% of them have reported to have experienced reduced hours. The Fair Workweek law is not effective in preventing fast food chains from violating these regulations. And this was seen back in 2022 when Chipotle had to reach a settlement for violating the rights to predictable schedules since 2017. And it had compensated about 13,000 of their employees with $20 million. These penalties are not strong enough for companies to stop overlooking the law just because they can afford to do so.
The Fair Work Week law can be expanded if Intro 0666 is approved. This bill hopes to double the penalties for violating the Fair Work Week law, and maybe if violating the law doesn't cost fast food chains $20 million, but rather $40 million, then they might feel compelled to start following them. Fast food workers play a vital role in the city's economic recovery, and laws such as this will improve the quality of life for them, as they will not have to face the stressors of unpredictability in their ability to work and earn a living. And thank you for your time today.
Great. Thank you so much. Any questions from board members? Okay. Thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate your time. And I would recommend attending some of our committees.
Thank you.
Next, we have Sarah Worley, speaking on housing. Sarah, are you on? Oh. Okay, thank you very much. We will welcome you back. Meetings are open to the public. We'll go to, let's see, Victoria. I do not have a last name. Holterman? Victoria? Do we have her online? Victoria, if you can unmute. We'll come back to her. I have Carrie King. Yeah, the mic right over there, Carrie. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah. I am just here with a quick little interlude of holiday cheer. My name is Carrie King. I'm the director of Uptown Grand Central. We're a nonprofit. Many of you know me. I know you. We work with small businesses and promote all sorts of good things in East Harlem. So I'm just here to show you that there are a lot of amazing things going on in East Harlem for the holidays. If you go to the website eastharlemalliance.org, or you can click on the QR code of this cute little bag, there's a map put together by Union Settlement that shows you all the activities going on from now through 3 Kings Day. And there's also a map where you can actually interact with each of the events and see what's going on. Some of the events I want to tell you about are the hot chocolate rides, which are going to start the first Saturday in December. And that's going to be 3 weeks of bike tours to small businesses where you can get some of the best hot chocolate in town. I think the ride in East Harlem is going to be Atlas Conchas, which is the new bakery on 109th Street, a beautiful Mexican bakery. Sugar Hill Creamery, the hot chocolate is here. It's blowtorched marshmallow on top. It's really good. And also Indomable Coffee, which used to be Don Alejo on 116th Street. So this is with El Barrio Bikes. So you can also learn ride tips for winter weather from our friends from the health department. And then, of course, the Harlem Night Market at La Marqueta. My friends from La Marqueta are right up here. It is the 6th year of the Harlem Night Market at La Marqueta. The Harlem Night Market at La Marqueta was the first night market in Manhattan. And so each year, those of you who have attended know we kind of move around based on the MTA and their construction. But this year, we are in Lot 2 of La Marqueta, which is the lot between 112th and 113th, as well as Urban Garden Center, which you can now find between 111th and 112th. There's also going to be some activations at Cocotazo inside the retail market that enters at 115th. So check it out. I'm going to leave these at the front. And then last thing really fast is that East Harlem's holiday lights are coming on very soon. We some people think that the holiday lights that come on are sponsored by the city. They're not. So the lights are all paid for by nonprofit groups in partnership with community leaders. So the lights that are on East 125th Street are sponsored by Uptown Grand Central in partnership with Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala. Thank you very much. And what we have chosen to do on East 125th, due to the safety and security concerns many of us have about that corridor, is instead of hanging the swags on top of the street poles, we wrap the trees, which takes several weeks to do. So the guys, I think, have 2 more trees left. And then we're going to turn them on. It also enables us to work with a local contractor. So we work with Urban Garden Center rather than a contractor from outside the community. So the trees will be turned on very, very shortly, bringing the light all the way down to street level from now through the end of February. So look for those to be turned on. The lights on 116th Street are sponsored by Union Settlement. And I think there's going to be lights sponsored by Hope Community as well. So the lights are coming on very soon, and then just make sure to come visit us for the holidays.
Thank you so much,
Thank you very
Carrie.
much.
There was a question? No, okay, thank you. Valerie? Ponte, you have a question? It's been up, I don't think she lowered it. Okay, thank you. We'll go back to Victoria Holterman. Victoria? Going once, going twice. We'll move on now to our elected official reports. Any other elected officials here? Who? Elsie?
Hello,
Yes, you have your 3 minutes. Welcome, welcome.
thank you. So Carrie always steals some of my report, which is great, 'cause I don't have to focus on that. Good evening, everyone. I'm Elsie Encarnacion, Chief of Staff to Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala. And I really wanted to focus in on our participatory budgeting process for this presentation because I have the 3 minutes. We are doing participatory budgeting this year. We are focusing on our schools as our main focus of the participatory budgeting. And so we have allocated $1 million in capital funds for our schools in District 4 in our East Harlem part of the district, and in District 7 for our Bronx. We have an additional 1 million. So it is not a shared 1 million throughout the district. It is 1 million in each part of the district. And so I'm encouraging everyone in the audience, please go to our website at the New York City Council website for participatory budgeting. You can place an idea on the map for a school. Again, this is a capital upgrade for the schools in the district. So if they need new bathrooms, we get a lot, the air conditioning in the common spaces like the cafeterias or the gyms. If you need a new auditorium, if you know a school that needs a capital upgrade, please be sure to put it in on the map. We are going to be hosting a community information session on this. We are working on that with our fellow to bring that into the district so that we can explain a little bit more about the process. But I am encouraging everyone. Right now, we only have like 2 suggestions. So we want to see that map flooded with suggestions for participatory budgeting. And again, this is something that the community decides. You get to vote. Voters can be as young as 11 years old in this process. So it is super important for civic engagement, for our young people to feel that they have a voice in how the budget is being spent. So I wanted to mention that. And I also wanted to mention, I know there's going to be a presentation later on in the agenda for La Marqueta. We are having a larger community meeting around that. It is tentatively scheduled for December 10th. And so if there are a lot more questions or you want to voice opinions or concerns on it and you feel like there's not enough time tonight, we will be having a community meeting around it on December 10th, scheduled for December 10th. We still do not have a location set, but we will get that to you as soon as we do have it. And I think I'm good.
Okay, thank you very much. We have time for one question. I'm going to give that to Eugene because just to keep, because we have a
Thank you, Mr.
presentation.
Chairman. You know what I'm going to talk about.
Is it going to be the theater?
Of course. Elsie, who's in charge of the Julia de Burgos right now, and what do they intend to do? And are we ever going to sit down with them to try to determine how that request for proposal is going to look?
Yes, thank you, Eugene. I should have seen that coming. So right now, the current people managing the Julia is the Economic Development Corp, EDC. They are the ones managing the spaces. We are the ones giving them the information on who should be programming in that space for right now. And so there's a process there. We will be having a community conversation and a survey coming out. The survey is in the final stages of drafting. So that the community can have input on the RFP that will be coming out. And so, yes, that is absolutely going to happen. And you will be the first person I call when all of that is in motion. But I will be sharing it with the rest of the board.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Are there any other elected officials or their representatives on? Okay. All right, with that, we will conclude that section. We'll now move on to our special presentation from the La Marqueta redevelopment. And we have the whole team from NYC Economic Development Corp. in. We have allocated about 10 minutes for this. And one of the things the chair sits on, in addition to other outside organizations on behalf of the board, is the Friends of La Marqueta. Nilso, our former chair, is there, and even going back to Matthew Washington, who was our previous chair as well. So they are going to give you an update. This community will have 2 bites at the apple on this with the update with La Marqueta. This is the first one. The second one will be a community-wide one. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Chair, for having us, and to the entire community board. Hi, I'm Yana Pohorelski. I'm with the Government and Community Relations team at EDC, and I cover our projects and programs in Upper Manhattan and the Bronx. We're very excited to be here tonight to provide some updates on the La Marqueta redevelopment. Eugene, we should also talk about the Julia de Burgos, because now that I see you here, we'll talk about that too offline. But I'm going to pass it over to my colleagues from the public markets team at EDC, who will share this update. So Eileen first.
Hola, buenas noches. I'm Eileen Gastambide, previous manager of La Marqueta. Now I'm the vice president of public markets. So I grew up. I'm here with Bai Dean. I'll let you introduce and then we'll take it over.
Hey, my name is Bai Dean. I just succeeded to Eileen as a manager of La Marqueta. I'm trying to fill out those big shoes.
It'll take you a while. So for those of you that don't know, Friends of La Marqueta, which is a group that we meet with monthly, helps us give us direction in terms of how we should continue to have the market benefit the community. La Marqueta is one of 6 markets that are part of the public market portfolio. And the service that these public markets do is really to the community, and they're very focused based on the community we serve. So back in 2017, where I don't think any of us were here, EDC was, together with the elected and the stakeholders, led a feasibility study with WXY to develop a new concept for the market. And for those that don't know, La Marqueta is not just the retail market on 115th Street. La Marqueta is all the way from 111th Street to 119th Street. So we have what we call a lot of lots and buildings. They're all 10,000 square foot, and they all have different purposes and services that they do for the community. So with that feasibility study, back in 2017, there was a plan that was agreed, which is our little yellow pamphlet, and it was all set in motion and ready to go. These were the design objectives when this feasibility study took place, which was to build an historic configuration and uses, address acoustic and lighting issues so that the neighbors wouldn't complain and call us 311 every time we have our salsa Saturdays because of the noise. Noise to them, to me is music. Reach balance between built structures and open lots, and create pedestrian continuity through the 8 lots. Create visual transparency into lots. It's a little bit dungy and dark there. Match proposed La Marqueta lot programs to site constraints such as MTA clearances. So back in 2018, everything was ready to go. RFP was ready to go, and then everything was in process, and we were starting to receive proposals when the pandemic started. So we needed to put a halt on that because the focus and the priority of EDC was really to get New York through this difficult time. So when I started, which was in the middle of the pandemic with us in 2021, we were ready to restart and get back on track. And then the MTA informed us of their small little project of the Park Avenue Dock, which is literally of my 8 lots, I think they're in possession of 4 of them, which is half. Including La Placita, which had to be relocated, in Urban Garden Center. So with the advisor Xavier and the Friends of Marqueta group, we were trying to take advantage of the work that's being done with the MTA and see what things of our plan could be done with their relocation and when we can restart
the redevelopment because we have certain funds that have been assigned to them, and we really want to get started and take advantage of that. Through the different meetings that we had with Friends de la Marqueta, we have been meeting for over a year and identifying what we can do with the $25 million that were assigned in capital money for this. And we were all in agreement that we're going to focus that on Lot 6, which is meant to become the public markets, which is moving the public market retail component that is right now what we call Building 4 and 115 would be moving to 116, where it would have more access to the public transportation, subways closer, and also finalize certain items of Lot 5, which is La Placita, that didn't get done when they did the new redevelopment back a few years back. So among them is trying to get a roof on them. We have a lot of pigeons that visit us and stay there and make it a little bit logistically difficult to operate. And we really want to have the facility serve the community even when it's cold. So to do that, I think we all think that having a roof will help and contribute to that. We would like to relocate commercial cases probably to Lot 7. That's still TBD. And there's other assignments to the other lots that will need to wait until the Park Avenue Viaduct process is done. So with the feasibility project study, that was done back in 2017, Urban Garden Center was actually meant to live in Lot 1. So we are intending to continue with that. I informed actually Dimitri yesterday that that was the intention, since he's already there, and to give us a list of what he needs to improve his experience there and what needs he has, right? So make sure that those are addressed when we're going full blast. Anything else you want to add? All right, so for all that I mentioned is kind of here in this map. I'm very into visuals, so you can, because I know it by heart, but I know a lot of people don't understand me. We're underneath the train. We're like the subcellar of the train. So we have the noise of the train, we have the vibrations of the train, but the train also protects us when there's rain. So it's not all bad. So this is kind of the top layout is our current status right now. And then the bottom one would be the future one. And then the one that's highlighted are the two lots that we're referring to where we want to start the redevelopment process. Anything else? You have more slides? Oh, okay, more. Okay, so then a lot of people ask me, when are you getting your lots back? So it is intended that you have a little table there, lots 6 and 7 should return to EDC on summer, hopefully July of 2025. And then lot 5, which is also AKA La Placita, should be returned to us in fall of 2025. For now, they say October, but that really doesn't depend on EDC. It's more of how the work of the MTA goes. That's it? Any questions?
Can you hear me? Thank you so much for your presentation. We'll go to questions in a moment. One question that I had was if there's any mitigation for sound, I know, or like at least sound enhancement for when people are talking. I know I've been to an event at La Marqueta where I think the mic was not working or something. It was so difficult to hear. So
is that in La Placita?
Yes.
Yeah, so that room and acoustics is part of the plan for Lot 5, and we all identified that. I remember Diana had a meeting, and I said we should have done this with those earphones that people have, like the silent disco, so everybody can hear, because it was at 5 p.m. on the Thursday, and the train was going every 5 minutes. So we do know it's challenging, so that's why we also recommend the roof, and also prevents the noise from going, or the sound from going out to the neighbors.
Sage.
Angel, are you controlling the PowerPoint? Can you just go back to the slide with the plan and like the map? I just want to take a picture.
The map
of it.
one?
Yeah.
And this is, so this is public, and the public market is the whole, this is on, you can go to publicsmarkets.nyc, and this is, you can download the whole feasibility pre-approved program. Oh, you did? Oh, there you go.
The slideshow is on our website. Yeah.
There you go.
Asher.
All right, my question isn't necessarily, I don't know if you guys are the ones to answer this or someone else, but it gets very dark on 116th Street and also other places with the construction, and there has been some instances of stuff happening over there. So what is being done to combat like the blind spots and all of that?
Yeah, part of the redevelopment, it was the lack of light. And that will be addressed with the redevelopment. But right now, the best, I mean, you're happy to write us and we can get in contact with DOT and the Metro North, which is really the MTA who are in charge of that part of underneath the train. Yeah, that would be with the MTA.
Okay. Thank you.
But we're happy to let them know since we bug them every week.
Jessica Morris, go ahead.
Thank you very much for reminding us what's going on. As you know, a lot, it's a really big space, and it sounds like it's a kind of just a something you're trading around, but these are really big, and there's topography too, right? That goes across from lot 1 up to lot 8. We have a hill, and things change a lot. So my question, and it's for a charge to EDC to really from both sides, from Lexington going west, from Fifth and Madison going east, how to draw people into that spine that's supposed to be connected on all the lots. And I ask because the column replacements that's been ongoing by MTA, they're like the perfect width for like some beautiful bike path or some way for pedestrians to, utilize that space if it weren't a parking lot or if it weren't, what it is now. So sort of this exists and it has for some time, and the work continues and the committees and all of the input continues to happen slowly as the progress happens. But thinking about this being active and how it's going to work, that wayfinding to the place that is the heart of the district is something to not leave until later and to start doing now. So it is really a funnel. So whether it's signage or whether there are little branches of activity, or I don't know what it is, but to start to think about how it could be a magnet as opposed to something that is dark and forgotten about between these other thoroughfares. So that's kind of the charge, if there is an opportunity to think about that as you continue to do your work. Thank you.
No, I appreciate your comments, and that's totally part of the feasibility study. We are aware there is challenging with the lighting, and that's priority on part of the redevelopment, because it's a challenge for us as the managers and and for our tenants and security wise as well. So that is definitely front and center, and it's going to take stages. There is more funding that needs to be raised, and there'll be a lot of more meetings. And it's a work in progress, and we want everybody's input because, like we said, this is a community market, and the purpose is for you guys to use it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for a great presentation and an update. There's going to be another community-wide presentation that will happen. And have we set a date for that? I don't believe we.
December 9th, Elsie mentioned, but I think she still doesn't have the location.
Yep.
Once she has, she'll share it.
So if you have additional questions, or if board members have additional questions you'd like to send to EDC, please do. I know we have ongoing once a month, second Friday that we attend. Questions were asked about providing a Delta construction budget, which is doing a breakdown for the cost benefit analysis of what our value of dollars is for when the money's 25 million was appropriated and what that value by would be now. And also, what do we do with the viaduct work? So it's an ongoing conversation, but we love how the MTA responds. So
Yes.
With that, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
The 9th.
9th. Thank you, Sage.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. It's
No.
the 10th.
10th. Okay, 10th.
I have a holiday party on the 9th, and my head is on fire. Yes,
Okay.
my bad. It's the 10th. Sorry, Elsie.
Great. And also, if you would be so kind as to make sure that when the location is set, to send it over to the staff at the office so we can put it on our newsletter. Greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias. Okay. We are now going to move on to our business session. Okay, for those members of the public, it's your first time attending. This is for the board matters to be addressed, and board members will be engaged in the conversation. You're pleased to stay and observe. Thank you. We do not have minutes from the last full board meeting, so we will not be adopting those at this time. Okay, they'll be provided next month. Next up is the chair's report. I'm going to do my level to keep us moving along and as brief as possible. There are a couple of things I do want to touch on. The trainings that Porfirio was talking about, he's going to submit a report to which board members attended and what. It's very important for us to attend. Even if you've been on the board for a long time, even I'm going to them. One of the ones that stuck out of my mind was the EEO training, and very important because we are considered public officials, all 47 members right now, but we're considered public officials, and it's very important for how we comport ourselves, not just with one another when we're in meetings and we passionately disagree about an issue. It's important about how we deal and work with the staff, because in the eyes of the law, we are considered employers. At full capacity, the lot of 50 of us. So it's important that we set a good example. Yes, over the course of time, you may create an affinity with one another, but again, it's always to maintain that professional decorum, because one another could be friendly and chummy, but how someone from the outside view may see that differently, right? So again, as we form relationships, grow relationships, one of the things I walked away I found very valuable in the EEO trainings is just reminding yourself of that. And again, we are human, we do err. So if, say, for example, you're like my 11-year-old son whose blood sugar drops after soccer and he needs a Snickers, but won't admit it, apologize and say, I'm sorry, I'm hungry, I'm hangry. Those things are moment, and it makes us human and relatable in a way we can always move past that. So again, in my years of experience, work as a producer in production, I've employed, close to 2,000 people and had directly managed. That's a lot. So again, that's something that stuck out, but it's important on all of us, and it takes a village. And so that's something I walked away from. The other trainings, like the affordable housing, very pleased to see that. So please go on YouTube, absorb those. It brings me to the next thing, attendance. We were lucky enough not to have executive committee this month, much to Jose's chagrin, who's online. But one of the things we have discussed internally with board leadership is about attendance. It is important for you to attend. Going forward, chairs of executive committee, your responsibilities in that 9-page form, which we're very thankful for the staff, Angel, who crafted that, worked on it. We did some noodling, figured it out, what to do, make it better. So give Angel a little round of applause. He deserves one. Yes, thank you. But he doesn't like compliments. So trying to be nice with this aspect, an attendance. Your chairs, if you miss 2 meetings, are going to reach out to you, not just email, call you. It's a check-in. Are you okay? Is everything going all right? We have life happen. I lost my mentor. That was a death in, my family. It could have affected me not being there, but that courtesy check-in is to remind you also too, you need to attend, because once you hit the mark of 3, Ms. Rosa, our secretary over here, is going to send an email and CC your staff liaison, Angel, Jessica, myself, to let everyone know, hey, if you miss another meeting, you're going to be up for the removal process, which is why Angel was kind enough to send that email to designate that if you've been delegated by the board chair to go out to an event, say PSA 5, which coincides with our full board meetings, that asterisk denotes the fact that you're excused. And that way we don't necessarily count that against you when we report back to the BP's office, which that process will begin next year. It's important to understand that. So again, I want to raise that as part of the issues at hand and make sure you just tuned in. Disability form. This is another thing that's come up, and as we discussed last month, I have consulted with lawyers, both internal and external of city law. The disability form, we are not doctors. The board leadership, the staff, they're not doctors. We're also not attorneys. We're not here to guide you. It is on the honor system. If you have a qualifying disability, please call city law, talk to your doctor, right? I mean, we do have 2 attorneys in the room, but the speciality within that area, that's not their speciality. And again, that's why city law is free. So if you have a question, call them. However, if you do disclose to say myself or Rosa or Jessica or your committee chair or the staff saying, hey, I'm taking my kid to karate class or judo class, you've kind of bound our hands and we can't, you can't use it in that instance. So again, I'm reminding everyone, the intent of the form and what you should be applying it, just submit it and we're going to take it on the honor system. So again, reminding you that otherwise, if you say to the staff or to one of us or to one of your committee chairs, hey, I'm going to karate class with my kids, we regrettably can't accept it, right? So, all right, moving on. Attended, and this was in Angel's report, the district cabinet. Also attended Barbara Askin's building-wide meeting on Fifth Avenue with where they had a gathering for the NYC Marathon. And the SOMOS, I went to SOMOS this year again. It was very productive. We had the chair of CB10 there, Marquise Harrison, and the chair of CB1 in the Bronx and the chair of CB3 here in Manhattan. We had collective meetings, also met with Senator Bradholm Sigelman and talked about issues with open meetings law is something they're going to take up next year. I had a brief meeting with Gail Brewer that covered what Borough President Mark Levine discussed, which was how do we open up the city charter again to make our term limits extend beyond their current expiry date? Should they go to 20 years and how that will be relevant to our work and passing on institutional knowledge. There were a lot of other good meetings, whether it was dealing with youth development and economic development. But again, it was a somber tone given the recent results. So with that, a ton of other meetings, 96th Street Corridor, Fifth Avenue, Taino Towers, meeting with all those co-op boards, condo boards, and tenant associations. So want to remind everyone, please get involved. I know we have our housing tours coming up next month, and we're going to have others with youth in education. So thank you for your partnership. And with that, that concludes my report. We'll move on to the district manager's report.
I hate doing these. So community board, I like the sound of my voice. The board office will be closed for Thanksgiving, obviously. Don't call the office, we won't be there. I wanted to encourage members, if you're not already, to please visit and make use of the information that we share on our website. We spend a lot of time cultivating the information on there. We get a lot of notifications from lots of different places, agencies, community organizations and the like. And we try to put it all in one place, not just for your benefit as members, but also if you can circulate it out to your networks for the benefit of your neighbors. The entire time that I've worked here, one common refrain, not common, universal refrain is, I didn't know. It's really frustrating because, lots of stuff is shared. At least we try to share it. And, making that point, I do know, or it has been my experience, that other organizations are frankly very poor at sharing information about what they have going on. So for the last year and a half, we've heard Eugene ad nauseum talking about this cultural district, theater district stuff, right? And, good for him. But that Julio de Burgos and these cultural, things that we have in the neighborhood that everyone talks about, yeah, they exist, but they all do a horrific job of promoting themselves. It's like it's a private club, right? So if you're in the know, you know. If you're not in the know, you don't know. Like that Julio de Burgos place was RFEI'd 2010 when I started here, handed over to the Hispanic Federation. Not one single time did I ever see a flyer for any events happening there. That's ridiculous, right? And they didn't do much, but they did some stuff, but you would always hear about it secondhand. And I don't just say that to smack at the people that were operating it, but just to say and to plead with them to do a better job, because not only is it to the benefit of the community to be able to attend these events, it's also to the benefit of the community for other people to attend those events, right? You talk about economic development and stuff in the community. If people aren't coming from the outside, you're not going to be able to sustain it. No neighborhood can. So as we're continuing in conversations about La Julia or the future, Harlem African Burial Ground, cultural space, or the cultural spaces remaining to be developed on 125th Street, et cetera, and Museo del Barrio is another secretive organization, push these people to do a better job of promoting themselves outside of their circle of friends, for all of our benefit. Okay, so that ends the chastisement for this month's meeting. This coming Monday, November 25th, the Department of Transportation is hosting a community engagement forum with Commissioner Idanis Rodriguez, focused on discussing transportation priorities and safety in our community. The event will be held from 6 to 7:30 at El Museo del Barrio, 1230 Fifth Avenue. That's at 104th Street. In my written report, there's a link to RSVP. There's also a link to the event flyer and RSVP link on the board's website on our events calendar. And then selfishly, for the 3 or 4 of you that know my little boy, he turns 18 on Monday, and my contract is done, so I'm all finished. And I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, that's it, finished. Se acabó. Se jodió por la calle. Thank you. You won't live in my house. That's it.
All right. Well, that's when I started paying rent. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And just to confirm, we do not have a vice chair report, and we do not have a secretary's report. You do? Ooh, please.
So I don't want to repeat what Xavier just said, but so executive committee, we have been speaking about attendance for like a whole year already. So just wanted to remind everyone that as per our bylaws, right, members may be removed for failing to comply with the attendance. So please attend in person if you're able to, and send the disability forms, please, 24 hours before. I am not checking my email the day off. If you have any concerns regarding your attendance, let me know. I'm literally available. And just in case, my email is secretary@CB11M.org. And literally everyone has my cell phone. I'm available. Call me, text me, let me know how I can help you. That's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. And we don't have our treasurer here today. So with that, that concludes the officers' reports. We'll now move to our committee reports and action items. First up is housing. Them. Okay. Okay, thank you. Licenses and permits did not have quorum this month. You will see that under our new business. We should be able to go through that pretty straightforward. Next is environment, open space, and parks.
So just for information only, we had a couple of announcements. One of them is literally for tomorrow, which Mr. Schuller is volunteering to go tomorrow to the Dr. Ronald McNair Playground, planting flowers in 122nd and 123rd Street and Lexington Avenue from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We also had New York City Departments of Parks and Recreation present on the Manhattan Greenway Harlem River project regarding the Pier 107 Bobby Wagner project. Everything is recorded. You should definitely watch the recording. And we also had Lauren Farrell from Deputy Commissioner on a little debrief on what is the Bureau of Coastal Resilience. And lastly, we had Emily Torren from the Health Department of Mental and Hygiene present on New York City heat map. And as members, we provided some feedback. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, you have a question. Oh, no questions, right? Sorry, I thought you said you had a question. Okay, wonderful. We will now move on. Our next committee is youth and education.
Yeah, I was all the way in the back, my bad. So youth and education is just for informational purposes only. We spoke about maybe planning a event this year and also doing a tour of the schools. Xavier mentioned that very briefly. I'm gonna be working in collaboration with the Community Education Council, their president Elizabeth Soto Cardona, and also the superintendent, Dr. Christy De La Cruz. They will be helping us organize that, and that's about it. Also, just want to hone in the attendance thing a little bit because many committees did not make quorum this month, or maybe it was one, but we also almost didn't make quorum, and we can't be doing the work if I don't have people at my meeting. So, yeah.
Any questions? No. Thank you very much, Asher. And keeping in mind, just as a reminder, Asher and I discussed this issue last week and have advised them that upon the time of emailing, that Asher and others are pleased to CC Rosa, myself, Jess, and Angel, so we're looped in. So again, it's really important for everyone to be present in a meeting and participate. We value your input and collegiality. Thank you. Land use, landmarks, and planning. Jason Villanueva.
Good evening, family. Jason. So just for informational update on our old business, we are still focusing on the preservation side of the committee. So I definitely welcome any members from the board to attend so we can have a open, transformative discussion on how we could get local landowners and or property owners preserved and historic within the district. One of the local community-based organizations, Maggie's Garden, pretty much not pressed, but advised us of their concerns back in September. And since then, we've been having conversations with them and other local administrative agencies on how to obtain some sort of preservation status for them. We'll keep you opined on that. But again, I welcome all of you to come in our December meeting so that we can continue that discussion. So our one action item that is listed here is for land use, landmarks, and planning. Is Jessica Elliott made a motion to support the proposed Metropolitan Museum of Art's 83rd Street entrance and Northside Chiller Plant projects. The motion was seconded by Adem Briha and passed unanimously. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Oh, there's a question? Anyone, would you like to make a motion? Yes, Isaac. And I'll give the next to Candy Views Vasquez. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you. All right, public safety and transportation.
Xavier, could I add one thing before you jump forward? So we just, yes, yeah, thanks. So we just heard from HPD this morning that they're ready to come and present, give a pre-EULA presentation to the board with regards to the proposed Carmen Villegas Senior Housing Project. So I'll be speaking with the chairs of Land Use, Housing, and Human Services, as it's a senior housing facility named after one of our favorite former board members, Carmen Villegas. So we'll be seeing those scheduled in December and January. I'll update you guys once the dates are settled. Okay, thank you. Why are you gonna ask me hard questions, Sage? 110-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. All right. Michelle?
Hello. Can you put up the, what we have? The action items? Yes, thank you. I just want to make sure that they're there so that everyone could read them ahead of time since they're rather long. I'm not going to actually read all of them right now. I just wanted to say that we went through a lot this time period, and we actually went and did our outreach. And that outreach meant that some of us went to the 2-3 precinct, some of us went to the 2-5 precinct, some of us went to PSA 5, and some of us went to different events around our community. And that helped us to really show the community that we care, and we were able to bring it back into the meeting. our action items up here right now, we spent a lot of time going over them. We started off one of them in April of last year, well, of this year, but over the summer we don't meet. And we also went back and looked at that video in April. We also had the little cheat sheet that was part of our reading, our homework this day. And because we did our due diligence and asked people around, we were able to come to a conclusion. So at this time, I would like y'all to take a look at the first action item, which is the support for the, oh, and I want to make sure that we all know that it's very distinct. We did not go and say, okay, we agree with everything. We agreed with their recommendations. And we wanted to actually add on another recommendation, which was to have witness protection be included. But because that was not part of their ask, we have added that we would want it to be part of their ask at another time. So our first action item is the support for the discovery reform changes proposed by the New York District Attorney's Office with room to add additional recommendations in the future. The motion was made by myself, Michelle Wilshire Clemens, seconded by Pascal Hanou, and passed with 1 opposed, Ponte, and 3 abstentions, Joan, Mason, and Perez.
Okay, are there any questions? Jason Villanueva and then Isaac Scott.
1 second. 1 second.
Wait, we need to get it recorded into the mic. Please stand by.
Can you put the recommendations up?
Chair, I just have a question from your perspective, why there was so many abstentions?
The abstentions, I did not ask why they abstained. However, they were able to go and take a look and see for themselves and come to their own conclusions. So I did not push them forward because I didn't think that that was appropriate because they did whatever they felt in their hearts.
Okay, Isaac, your question?
Chair, I will ask the chair of the committee and the chair of the board if I may be allowed just 1 minute to read off my points of opposition on this particular item, because I am positive that most of the people in this room do not understand this motion.
You're pleased to speak.
Thank you.
Before you speak, I just wanted to add one thing, is that
these are my personal, I'm not a lawyer, but I do legal research and this is the field I work in. So I want to express my points because I believe that they will help the rest of the board understand what you all actually passed up there as a committee.
Everyone will be afforded time to speak on the matter.
If that's okay.
Everyone will be afforded equal time to speak on the matter.
Is that okay?
So, yep, speak, okay. Please speak.
Yes, so 1, risk of eroding defendant protections. The proposals such as adopting a substantial compliance standard could reduce accountability for prosecutors. This may lead to incomplete or delayed disclosures of critical evidence, undermining the defendant's right to a fair trial and full access to exculpatory evidence, and that's evidence that could clear a person's name. For example, a prosecutor failing to disclose such evidence or surveillance video by arguing they substantially compiled this clause that they're proposing. Other evidence could deprive a defendant of critical proof of their innocence. The second point is of potential for precedent against defendants by aligning speedy trial statutes with the discovery law's prejudice assessment requirement. The proposed changes could make it harder for defendants to seek dismissals of cases where prosecutors fail to meet discovery deadlines, even when those failures cause delays in preparing their defense. There's a point of ambiguity in the substantial compliance clause. The substantial compliance standard is too subjective and open to interpretation, potentially allowing prosecutors to neglect full disclosure requirements without facing meaningful consequences. Also, shifting the burden to defendants, the requirement for defense attorneys to raise discovery issues within 35 days could place undue procedural pressures on defendants, particularly those represented by public defenders who already face high caseloads and limited resources. This may disadvantage defendants and compromise their ability to mount an adequate defense. I'm almost finished. Current strict discovery rules aim to ensure prosecutors are fully transparent and organized. Weakening these requirements as proposed, may reduce systemic accountability and encourage rushed, incomplete investigations by law enforcement and prosecutors. The proposals to reduce delays caused by minor non-material discovery issues could prioritize expediency over the fairness of trials. Minor issues like missing records or incomplete evidence can have significant implications for the defense's strategy and a fair trial outcome. The proposals place disproportionate procedural burdens on defendants, especially those from marginalized communities like ours, who may lack the resources to meet stringent timelines, which most of the people going to jail from East Harlem do, and this could exacerbate existing inequalities within the criminal legal system. Dismissals from noncompliance with discovery requirements are necessary to uphold defendants' rights. Without the threat of dismissals, prosecutors may lack the incentive to fully comply with discovery laws, potentially depriving defendants of critical information. Last point. The proposals fail to address the systemic inefficiencies in how cases are investigated, prepared, and prosecuted. Instead, they shift the blame to procedural protections that were implemented to correct prosecutorial outreach and imbalance.
Okay, everyone, let's, who had there? Hold on a second.
Sorry.
Jason Wu, question, statement for Michelle?
So I'm going to keep it short because I completely wholeheartedly second everything that Isaac said. I just want to emphasize that this is a really, really serious proposal. We're talking about people's due process rights, their liberty rights, and that's what's at stake here. My understanding is that defender organizations were not consulted in crafting the support or the motion to support this proposal. I work at the Legal Aid Society. I know that my colleagues at Legal Aid are more than happy to speak with the community board at any time. They offered back in the spring. They're more than willing to come anytime now. This was too short notice. But I think we really have to consider all of the issues that Isaac raised, and I just want to underscore how serious this is. It needs to be evidence-based, fact-based. There needs to be rigorous debate. There needs to be a consideration of all perspectives, not just using discovery reform as a political tool to show that we're tough on crime. Because we're talking about real people's lives, real communities. And if you or any of your loved ones were ever in a situation where you're accused of a crime, you want to make sure that the prosecutor is being held to the highest standards of complying with the law, the evidence is presented, and that people's rights are preserved.
Thank you. Do we have another question? Derek?
I have two questions. The first question is, did they come to us asking for us to possibly support this? Like,
Yes.
to what end is us voting to support it going to mean? And then I'll ask my next question if there's an answer to that. Yeah.
Yes, they came in April. They came and gave a presentation, as I had said before, in April of 2024. And during that time process, we also, at least at this particular time, we looked at that video once again as well, it is not up there. The recommendations that they put on they gave the recommendations that they had, specifically, which were part of our reading today. I don't know if you have, no one looked at it?
Yes, they're part of the meeting material.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure someone looked at it. And there were 3 different recommendations that they had. And what happened is that the pendulum had gone far one way as opposed to being in the middle. And this was what we had understood to be more, not necessarily a middle ground, but just more of a shift so that the victims as well as the plaintiffs and defendants have some sort of say in what's going on. That was our understanding.
Okay, Derek?
Thank you. And then my second question is, can this group today make a motion to table this particular item and maybe give us more time to learn more about this and get some more information from other organizations sort of representing the other side? I guess, is it tabling it or sending it back to the committee? It's more of a
There's not, so procedural question, there's nothing that precludes that after everyone has spoken on the issue, because there's a motion that was sent forth to this body. So Sage, I think Nilsa had her hand up, Adem, and then I need to go to Kenneth and Jose. Sage.
She needs a mic.
Can I?
Let Sage go first and then we'll hand the mic.
In response to Jason's question from earlier, why people abstained, I'm not sure, I can't speak for the other 2 people who abstained or the person who was opposed. I abstained due to conflict of interest concerns. But if I was voting, I would probably be opposed to it. I think it should be the responsibility of the prosecutors to do a good job to convict people beyond a reasonable doubt, not the responsibility of the defendant who is presumed innocent until proven guilty, to make up for the prosecutor not doing a good enough job. I think if you're going to lock people up, you got to do it perfectly. You got to have evidence. You got to follow the rules, and you shouldn't just change the rules because it's not working out for you.
All right, Nilsa. Jess is going to kindly run it over.
Thank you. Michelle, you mentioned that this first came in April of 2024. At that time, was it that the committee, because, now we're in November, thank you for your work and the committee's work. Was it that at that time, there was not really discussion about this and it was more taken up under your chairship when and then you were able to have the committee work on this and then come up with this for us tonight?
Well, we wanted to think about it, and April is right close to the next, and then we went on vacation. And I did not want to just take it lightly, so that we did discuss it, and then we tabled it again, saying that I want people to go back and look at the presentation that they first did. I wanted people to go back and ask questions from different lawyers and different people that would have an interest in this. And I kept going, this is your homework. I want you to really look at this, talk to people, find out what is going on here. Don't just take one side. Look at all the sides. In fact, today I was just talking with people that were in the previous, in April, who had a lot of questions that were lawyers, and I wanted to find out their answers.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Adem.
Yeah, I just think, like the fact that I don't know how many people were at your meeting or voted, but when I see 3 abstentions from the committee itself, it makes it a little difficult to want to vote here when, we haven't vetted it out, obviously, as much as the committee has. And I just think sometimes it raises the issue of, I know that I'm a chair of a committee too, but I know that it's the job of the committees to do the work at committee. But I don't think and this isn't towards you, Michelle, at all, it's a general statement. I don't think every resolution or vote we take is of equal importance. This is very important. I know it means a lot to a lot of people. And it is frustrating how this could have taken 2 minutes for us to vote on and maybe vote on incorrectly or not incorrectly. And then we spend an exorbitant amount of time not talking about at these meetings, to me, anything that's actually that important. So I think that's just more of an issue to me. And I think I'll just say, and this is going to be a little off topic, but I don't want to take the mic again. There are just things, and this touches your committee and a lot of other committees, but there are just things I think if we actually live in this community, work here, and spend our days here, that we see going on, and I just don't hear us talking about it. Drug use has gotten bad again, and I'm not speaking from one side or the other, saying you see people out there who really need help, they're not getting it. You see people who have to live with that, and not just adults, I'm talking about children who are going to schools and just coming to these meetings, walking 3 blocks. I've been here my whole life. It was bad, it got better, define better, define bad, but it's gotten bad again. And I just think this was a perfect point to bring up that I think we need to start focusing our attention and taking these matters more seriously on every committee. I'm sure there'll be a time where I have an action item, and I don't know if I just want this full board to vote on it because we talked about it for 2 minutes and the committee was like, oh, that's okay. So that's all I have to say.
Well, we did not speak about it for just 2 minutes. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that we did have almost all of our complement at Public Safety and Transportation. There was only one person missing. And that, I think, was really good because we did actually talk. And I think that when I looked at some of the faces here and I asked, did you read this? And I saw some blanks. It was really upsetting because this is important. And the amount of work that was put into this and to see blank stares was kind of disheartening.
Okay, so there are a couple, we have 2 more questions online or statements, and I think it's important for us to hear them as well. And Kenneth, I will recognize you first, and then I will go to Jose Altamirano.
Thank you, Xavier. Can you hear me okay? Hear me?
I can hear you fine. Please.
Great. I'll be brief. I do want to thank the committee I used to be a part of. This is public safety. They really deliberated on this issue. And I really encourage folks to look at that April meeting. I asked the district attorney's office several questions about this because I had concerns as well as a defense attorney in my training as a defense attorney. And, I will say what I told Michelle, and I appreciate Michelle talking to me earlier about this. I do have I have concerns as a defense attorney. I do think there are deep issues about people's constitutional rights here, but I think this can be solved by one thing, and I'll ask this of you, Michelle, perhaps of the board. Couldn't the issue that the district attorney's office is talking about, the difficulty with discovery, couldn't that be solved just with greater funding to DA's offices and public defender offices? I think that would solve this rather than rolling back rights. I think the solution here shouldn't be less justice, it should be more.
Okay. All right, so I know Pascal, let me I'll recognize you to speak real quick because you haven't I'll go to Pascal if you don't mind, Jose, because you used to chair this committee and you were the chair at that time.
No, he can go. It's fine. I'll go after.
Thank you. I just want to touch on something he said about funding. The district attorney's office did receive some money, but that money went to a software which was used to kind of like cover the phone numbers for witnesses, because part of the discovery thing now is if like someone complained against a police officer 10 years ago, they could still be called because they made a complaint to like testify at some case that's completely unrelated to them. And to do that, they have to provide their phone number. So they're using that software kind of to protect them. So that's kind of another thing that we took into consideration when we came to our decision, our motion, on top of a whole bunch of other things. And I understand, like, I wasn't here in April. I just joined the board. I had to read this document like 3, 4, 5 times. I had to try to put it in plain English. I don't really know criminal justice jargon, but for me, it was a lot, and I had to take the time. And Michelle did a good job just staying on top of us. So there was a lot of like consideration before we came to this conclusion. People are staying for their personal reasons. Only one person voted no, but you know, if we don't come to a conclusion tonight, I just ask that you go back and you look at this over again. And if you have to, put this document in ChatGPT, ask them to put it in plain English so you can understand it. Because literally, like that's, you know, a lot of things aren't written in plain English, so we can't really, you know, understand it if we're not familiar with those type of things.
Okay, thank you. Jose? Jose, you're recognized.
I'm on. I can hear you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Perfect. So yeah, as we all agree, this is a very contentious and difficult um, subject. This is why the committee has been working on it for months. We had a lot of significant concerns. Um, and mind you, this is going to go up to Albany. This is not a city issue. They're asking their support. This is all going to go to Albany. Albany is technically not in session still. So should the committee decide to go and table this until next month, but this also means that this takes responsibility of the board, not just that committee, because at the end of the day, we have a lot of great items here that were brought up. Kenneth was on our committee when this happened, and he brought up some great items. But we also have to understand that there are, you know, both extremes are bad, right? Before the sub, I believe it's my personal opinion that everything prior to this was used and definitely affected people of color more than another. I know a significant amount of people that went to jail. We also got though examples when they came to give us report of domestic violence cases where they had a video of the person entering, they had a video of them exiting, they had all this evidence. And I believe one stuck in my memory, which is they were missing a cab receipt. They weren't able to produce a cab receipt, and because of the cab receipt, this person was allowed to go free. So I think while we understand in a perfect world, funding would be unlimited. And I believe I saw an article out recently where they are definitely asking for more funding. But I think we also have to reach a place where we're not just protecting our community, but we're also protecting anyone who is, you know, was a victim of a crime, right? Because they're also part of our community. We have to do a little bit of both. So if again, if this has to be done in next month once again, but then we expect everyone to chip in to give this information because they're not doing this just in our community board. I just want to make sure everyone understands. They're going everywhere and anywhere. So the more information we give, if our motion will be a very different wording and we're asking for all of these specifics to be taken into place, that's perfect. That's not an issue. The more information we give them, the better. But they will do this without us. And so it's also a point that in December we have to cement this by December because in January this is going to start and then there's a few months after that. And I'm sure they're going to be lobbying for this very hard. So I just want to take, you know, the board to take into consideration, right? It's both sides. That's just one case I remember. As Pasquale, I think it mentioned, they did put a lot of funding into that because Discovery also, one of the issues that was brought up, and this was brought up in a conversation I had with Kyoka, the 25th precinct, where they, you know, victims' information is being released. And imagine if you're a victim of domestic violence or rape, and then you know, your information is being given to the person or to defense attorney who had this, you know, committed to. I mean, that's just not unsafe. It's not just sometimes it's not even reasonable when you even say it. Right? It just doesn't make sense for someone to go through a violent crime like that and then have their information given out. So again, this is just something that's been working. We can definitely go back and do the more work because we're here to do the work. But just make it clear, like you can't keep pushing this off because we've already been doing it. So whatever other information that you want added, you have to remember as a community board that the work is done at the committee level, not at a full board where we're adding contentious other points. Because we've been talking about this since April of last. So now we're talking about April, May, June, July, August. We were off September, October, November. We're talking about 8 months. So that's my statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on, Jessica. I want to get a show of hands. How many people read the fact sheet submitted by the DA? Okay. How many people read the footnote from the Manhattan Institute in its entirety? Only a handful read. Okay. Jessica, you would like to speak? We need to get your mic.
Just posing a question from a point of procedure. If we don't reach consensus, is there still an outcome that would be beneficial in exercising the community's voice? Thank you.
If we don't reach consensus, that means that CB11 does not have a position on the issue at hand. Yes, Jason.
Okay, so I literally have a colleague who's watching and texting me, and if we can table this, I will make sure that someone at Legal Aid or one of the defender organizations is able to come and dispel some of the inaccuracies that have been raised, because some of the information that has been discussed is not fully accurate. We don't really have the time to kind of fully debate all of this here, but I think it's really, really critical before we make a decision that we hear from a public defender organization, experts, people who are actually doing this work day to day. I will also just share that really quickly. So nothing has changed since the District Attorneys Association of the State of New York, Representative DA Mary Pat Donnelly of Rensselaer County said before the public protection hearing on February 7th, 2023, that no changes to the law were necessary. She added that all that was needed was funding to ensure proper implementation. So I just want to underscore that was what Kenneth was talking about earlier. And I think a lot of different things are getting mixed up in this conversation. We're talking about discovery.
Could you clarify which district attorney and which?
That's from Rensselaer County.
Rensselaer County, and where is that in relation to Manhattan?
Upstate.
Where upstate? We need clarity, Rensselaer. So is it within New York City, Westchester County?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No.
I just wanted to get clarity on that for geography for the board, because some people may be confused and those listening in. Thank you. Carry on.
So I'm asking that we table this so that we can have someone from Legal Aid or Neighborhood Defenders of Harlem or another defender organization come and speak to some of the issues that have been raised by Isaac, Kenneth, myself, Sage, other people, because there is a lot of other information. It's not just what's in the quote unquote the fact sheet. The fact sheet is a one-sided depiction of the issues from the DA's office. It does not reflect the full range of issues and facts and concerns and questions that we should be considering as a community board.
Okay, thank you. And Nelson, you had a follow-up, because
Hold on, Nelson.
Wait 1 second. I'm hearing everything that everyone has to say, and a lot of valid points are brought up. If this is tabled, community board members, please realize that you have to do your homework. You have to read the stuff that is actually sent to you, because it's a waste of time for people to come and try to educate us. And then we come to these meetings unprepared, and then we try to come to consensus. It sounds to me like next month will be the last opportunity potentially for us to come to some kind of consensus. So if this is tabled, if Jason and others go and do this meeting and the work at public safety, that we give the respect to public safety, and that we all at least try to go to the meeting or Zoom in so that we can hear it firsthand and we can ask questions so that we're better prepared to do this next month, because this is important to our community and we need to come to some type of decision, and we cannot keep looking as we are unprepared, because this is too important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Couple of things, and thank you, Neil. So that was the point I was going to make, is about doing the homework. if we are to table and entertaining a motion on that, I'm going to let Michelle speak next. And then if we are going to have just the defense attorney come and present their side, it would be beneficial to the committee to actually have the DA's office present so they can have a proper dialogue all the way around. So then anyone, each and every person can hold one another to account. And then we as a body can make a discerned decision, and that one is fair, judicious, and calculated. Again, so Michelle.
Sounds good. I would like some of that information written down so that we can have that ahead of time so that everyone can take a look at the April 2024 presentation. Go and speak to different lawyers in different areas for yourself and hear one-on-one what the legalese part of it is. Go into your heart and find out how you feel about it and speak to a lot of different people so that it is not something that is so out there that you come in and you're unprepared.
Okay.
A lot of time is spent on it and a lot of time should be spent on this.
Thank you, Michelle. And I'm going to call the question for a table motion, but I want to remind everyone, we represent not just our personal points of view, we represent the community at large. Our personal points of view inform us. It gives us perception. It does not mean it is perspective. And this is a healthy, respectful discussion, and I appreciate everyone being respectful in their commentary. That's important, that collegiality. From when I first joined the board over 15 years ago, you would have people standing on chairs, yelling, calling for points of order. God bless Francis Mastrota, who was the parliamentarian at the time. We have been very collegial in this discussion, and I want to applaud you for all being respectful in that. This is a very passionate issue, and this is important for us to remain that. When we walk out these doors, I like to say, treat it like a dojo. We weigh in, what happens on the mat here stays here, and then we go out. And it is okay to have differing points of view on all of this. It does not make any one person worse than the other. That collegiality is what will save us and be a shining beacon. And as someone who traveled across this nation most recently in October, that's what they're looking for. So with that, I will entertain a motion to table. Adem? All right, and I'll give, Nelsa had her hand up. Nelson second, all those in favor? Any opposed? Joel Jones, Eugene opposed to tabling. Any abstentions? One abstention from Sage Mason. The motion, what? There's Christina John.
I had a previous question, Chair, but I will hold it until after your vote. I just didn't get called on. This is not, I would agree.
That is part of the challenge, is chairing both virtually and in the room. So, but the motion carries. Thank you very much. Your question real quick, because we have two other motions and I want to be able to get all of us out and the staff home on time. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. One was a quick, a question was about procedure. And the first question was just whether or not a conversation like this should be coming to full board. That was my first question when I had my hand raised. And the second question was also whether or not we could have not just the lawyers, but those who are impacted. I saw, Dawn and others raise, having someone who is a victim or having someone who's a defendant. I don't think that an issue this big, as someone who's worked in this space, should be left to just the lawyers to discuss. And so having those impacted by whatever potential changes are being proposed, I think is important to the conversation, whether that's at the committee level or for board level, for us to make a determination, since this has huge human consequences.
So for the genesis of a positive result and a result that we all can agree to and that will benefit the community, I don't see any opposition to that, but it would be in coordination with the Chair of Public Safety and Transportation and those entities in trying to make that happen. So I think that's a relevant idea to present. One more, and then I'm going to move us along. Thank you, Mark.
The question was if we can ask our elected officials about this.
By Mark Bogursky. Without a doubt, and that it requires them to be willing to engage. And we saw today, we finally had Jose Serrano show up and Mark Levine. So the others, we have constant outreach to. We can reach out to them. Thank you. That doesn't preclude us. Yeah, correct. But that, so Mark, it doesn't preclude our work, and also is, yeah. Thank you. All right, Michelle, let's move on to the next. And yes, David, because I want to move the meeting on.
Somebody has a conflict of interest, they shouldn't abstain, they should be present and not vote.
Correct.
Correct.
Correct. So if you perceive having a conflict of interest, you don't have to disclose what it is. You just be present, not voting. All right. So just for those that, and if you have a question that ever, call city law, they will clarify. Item number 3, Michelle.
Okay. So item number 3, to support daylighting resolution provided by open plans with recommendations to tailor it to our community district and to be able to make future edits. The motion was made by Pascal Hanu and seconded by Claudia Perez and passed with 1 opposed, Sanders. Does everyone understand what daylighting is? Saving lives.
Any questions? So the motion was made to support the daylighting resolution provided by Open Plans. The motion was made by Pascal Hanu, seconded by Claudia Perez, and passed with 1 opposed, Dawn Sanders. I will entertain a motion to adopt. Derek, oh, wait, question or? Okay, are also, okay. Yeah, okay, great. I hear your motion. Are there any questions outside of that before I proceed? You have a question, Jessica Morris?
Just a point of question, and I'm not sure if it's stylistic, and I don't think it is. I think it's intentional, but I want to better understand it. In both of the points, the ability to make future edits, does that weaken the position at all, or?
We could add, she had given.
So go ahead, Michelle.
The person who described daylighting to us brought in a proposal, and we did not agree with all the things that were written. And so with Pascal's help, Pascal Hanu, we nuanced it to what we wanted specifically for East Harlem. And that's why we had added that there, because we changed what was given to us.
I see. It's a little bit like a disclaimer on the point of support. Got it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Angel.
So Michelle, you mentioned that you guys changed it. Where is that resolution? Because I worked off the resolution that Open Plans provided. I didn't see Pascal's. And where's that?
Khalid sent a document and I just made suggestions. You just have to approve it.
So
where in the
Already in part of it.
where is it? Where is the document?
It was in the email he sent to the committee before, so I opened it. It was a Google link.
Okay.
Drive link. So I could just send it to you right now.
Okay. Guys, this has to be a lot more clearly done. We can't be you all should not be passing resolutions that are not being shared with the rest of the body. So what you all received in your meeting materials does not reflect the edits that Pascal made. So just because it's in the Google Drive doesn't mean that it was received by me to put in your meeting materials.
So go ahead. Say, is that necessarily on us then? If it's in the drive that,
but it has to be communicated to the office, right? Like, you guys met on Thursday. Khalid was not there. Marlene is there.
Yes.
How did the document get to me? It didn't. So I don't have it. Like, it has to be shared to me, so I can share it with you all for the meeting materials.
Okay, so that falls on us to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that document was done prior to the meeting. So that it's a document with the.
I never received anything. Just because it's in the board drive doesn't mean that I received it. Right? Like when we, so I know it was a while ago, but I said very clearly when we started the board drive, that is your toolbox, right? That's your sandbox. When you're done there, you send it to me. I'm not going to be in there looking at every single document. That's an impossibility for me to be able to know what every single document is. And I'm only saying this so that then when I send you your full board materials, you have the right stuff to vote on. I don't want you shortchanged by not having the most updated information, up-to-date information.
Okay. Asher?
Could someone from that committee just check if it's the same thing? Because we're going back and forth about it.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a deadline on this position, Michelle? Okay. Okay. Just so we'll be clear, so we aren't voting on something that we haven't all read. We will just not take a position on this, just so we can make sure it's clear. Or what changes were made. No, but I just need to know what changes were made. Were they substantial? Hold on, John. John, while we wait for Pesca, go ahead.
I have a question. If all of the information is not available to the entire board, should this be tabled? That's my question.
What was that, Angel? It doesn't have to be tabled if it was not substantial amendments that were made. If they were minor. Angel's putting it on the screen so you can see it. It will be recorded. Yeah, Pascal, if you want to just call out those.
Pascal, were the changes only made in the resolved section? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put that up on the screen in a second.
Thank you. So everyone, we're going to look at this on the floor in the resolved section. The rest of the document was not changed. So everyone knows what they're voting on. So what do you think about the jets and the firing? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. No, not Rogers, the coach. Okay. Just to get pulled up, guys. Christmas time, our Christmas full board is when we typically do our potluck. So wanted to remind everyone, you can volunteer to bring some. Those that came to the barbecue really appreciate it. So it's a good opportunity as we finish the board business that we can gather and break bread. All right. Thank you, Angel.
Hold on a second. That's not the thing from the board drive? That's not the document?
Yeah.
It was.
But you're still on it.
Okay. So it's the PDF document?
We can, but if it's just if it's just they're. Can you find it, Angel? All right, guys, take a look.
Changes, Pascal? All the way at the bottom of the resolution. I thought the meeting was suggested to be approved. That will be resolved, and these two bullets are. Is it suggestion, or is it like already rewritten? It's already rewritten, what we kind of agreed on as a group, but. Pretty much, it was never, I guess it was never reviewed by. This is what we wanted. Two things that we really were interested in was intersections that had high occurrences of crashes. That's what we felt like daylight was used the most. And one thing they didn't really mention was houses of worship. We're prioritizing schools, senior centers, facilities for disabled, but we also want to make sure that houses of worship are covered as well. And in the second bullet, it's just, language. Where a curb extension is not exposed or usable, because some places aren't usable. Some places are just too narrow. Yeah. So it's very minor, small changes, but it's tailored to our district. And the second part of our resolution is just in case, later on, we need to add something on. Because this is already state law, it's just that DOT is not following it to the T. So we just want to have room to make changes, I think, come up with our neighborhood.
Okay. Is everyone clear on this? The committee did discuss it, and these are the changes. Yes, Isaac? Your thumbs up. Okay. Okay. All right. So we had a motion made by Derek Stempone. If it pleases the board, I will entertain a second. Jessica Morris? Second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm opposed still.
Don Sanders is opposed. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Okay. All right, last one for public safety and transportation.
I feel like I've been up here for quite a while. Okay, since I won't be able to see it up there, since it's not there. The motion was made to write a letter in opposition to DOT placing a neighborhood loading zone at 100 East and 111th Street without consent on the community board, and the process in which they engage the community to come up with the loading zone. The motion was made by Claudia Perez and seconded by Sage Mason and passed unanimously.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Is there a motion to adopt the committee's recommendation? So, your question, Sage.
The loading zone.
I'm sorry. This thing is sensitive. I'm not actually opposed to the loading zone. I just am opposed to the process. So I was wondering if I could make a friendly amendment and cancel the first little bit and just go write a letter in opposition to DOT, to the process in which DOT engaged the community to come up with a loading zone placement at 100 East, 111th Street without consent of the community board, rather than specifically opposing the loading zone.
I think the committee's intent was that specific location, if I'm understanding that correctly.
As a member of the committee.
Oh, you are.
And as the person who seconded this, I believe the intent was just opposed to the process.
Okay, so, and that was not raised during the committee, to be clear.
It was. It's just not sort of what I am seeing on here.
Was that what the committee voted on? And was that the process? Was that what was voted on? It was. So that was an amendment that was not included with the original motion here. A letter that was in opposition to the process with DOT placing. Was what discussed at the meeting? So we're clear with the body?
This a while ago. It was the process that we disliked. 5 commercial loading zones are asked of us per year. they came to us with this and just said, this is it, without any conversation.
Okay.
So it is a procedure.
Okay, so it is a procedural, and if you're pleased with it, Michelle, to accept that one friendly amendment?
I will accept that one friendly amendment.
Okay, very good. So, all right, so with that, is there a motion to approve with that amendment? Isaac, you have a question or? Okay, very good. Thank you. Candy, is that a second? All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I have to oppose, I'm sorry, because
Don Sanders is
I don't
opposed.
remember us talking to anybody who lives there. So
Okay,
We did
opposed.
speak to someone that lived there and
Yeah, hold on. I'm calling a vote right now. Pascal? Okay, so, all right. Jules, are you opposed? Okay, Joel Jones, Don Sanders opposed. Reminding everyone, when I've called the vote, it's a yes, no, abstain, present, not voting. The explanation is what we do pre-calling the vote. So again, this is just the way of and culture of Robert's Rules of Order for our community board. Thank you. The motion carries. All right. Thank you, Michelle. You may go sit in the comfier chair. All right, Human Services, you're up.
good night.
I just want to shout out Michelle for that long stand up here. I didn't mean to start no trouble, Michelle. I know. All right, so I don't have I don't have much to say today. I'm just gonna do this as I talk. So I don't have much to say today. Our presentations, the report is for informational purposes. We did have a presentation from Mount Sinai's research center, specifically around dementia and brain health. I do think having them come to any of the, community spaces you may occupy may be good, just for community residents, and they're more than willing to present. Yeah, we had our regular updates. So we have an addiction forum coming up, and I think that it's really important that we understand, I know people just want to see all of the problems go away, and they think that it's the job of politicians and elected officials to just snap their fingers at them and all of our issues will go away. But that's not how it works, and we actually have to get out in our community and do work. Right, I'm going to say that again. We actually have to get out in our community and do work. And that does mean more than just coming into these meetings, voting, criticizing. Some folks don't even read the information, but then have the nerve to criticize it sometimes. So it's just like a bunch of foolishness from folks who are supposed to be representing the community. And if you look around this room, the community is not really represented in fullness in here because it's about less than 50 of us and it's how many people in our community. So we definitely got to step up the quality of advocacy that we have. And it can't just be personal. I don't like this, so I don't, that the motion we were just talking about, we should really look at like who is really impacted by that when we make that decision, not just our politicians or just getting everybody in the room. Who's actually impacted by that? Let's bring them in the room and see how voting on this will impact it. Similarly, substance use disorder is a huge issue in our community. And we are hosting an event. Now, this event is to bring together community to create strategies. This event is not in place, and I want to say this clearly, this is not in place of our fair share advocacy, because we are still advocating for fair share as it relates to how programs are placed in our community unrighteously. So that's not lost in this, but what is acknowledged in this is what came right out of the sergeant's mouth up there, and that we need more community support. We can't do it on our own. This was the police who most people want to run to and think that they have all the answers. They said they need community. So we got to do better with how we get out and support one another, good, bad, or ugly. As it relates to substance use disorder, this would be a great event for folks to come out to and learn from, you know, and I'm going to say that again, to learn and be informed about the issues that lead people to substance use, what exacerbates it, how can we support people, how can we create better referral networks, better community bonds with people so that we can get our nephews, cousins, sisters, because some of us are connected to some people in this room who need some support, whether you are willing to share that or not, you know. So this event is on Friday, December 6th at the East Harlem Community Partnership. Shout out to the Human Services Committee because we just have a badass committee. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that. And I appreciate you, Xavier, because I know you was responsible for appointing a lot of people, but we really do have a group. And I say that because we had a group of people who did nothing. And I'm going to say that. You know, I chaired for a while and I had a group of people who wouldn't do anything but complain and show up unprepared. Right? So now we have a group of people who are working. Yeah, I said it. Now we have a group of people who are working, and I'm very happy about that. And we all should be happy because that means work will get done at the committee level. And the Human Services Committee holds a lot of the issues that we're seeing in our community. So you can't come to the Human Services Committee and bullshit. That's where I'm at with everybody. Just keeping it 100 with y'all. This event at the baseline, you know, if you're not like under your supervisor's like full control, you should be at this event as part of your work because this is informative and this is going to help whatever work, community-based work you're doing in East Harlem. So you should be there. Every community board member should be there. At the very least, our attendance should be no less than 50, right? Because that's how many community board members we have. That's the expectation because no one is not impacted by substance use in our community. We will walk out here right now and every single person in this room is impacted by it. So if you don't come to events like this and you don't show up to build and strategize with us, then don't complain and I'll keep ignoring it. But this is an open invitation. We had a planning info session and I'll shut up in a second. We had an info session on yesterday's community board meeting so that people from the community board could give input. I know I emailed most of you all in the weeks past, giving you opportunity to give feedback. We have a strategic planning meeting on Friday for people to continue to give feedback. If you don't show up at any of those, that speaks volumes. That's where I'm at with everything because it's serious right now. And we got to do the work. So again, I would love it if you all came and did more. We need support. We need volunteers. We need translators. We need a number of things. So if there's any support you can lend, please let me know. And that concludes my report. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
There was a question online, just if you could repeat the date, time, and
Date and
location.
time.
Yes,
Yeah.
date, time, and location. Friday, December 6th, 2024. It is a full day event. Now, this is not gonna
What time to what
from 10
time?
a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
It is a full day event. Forgive me.
Cake and punch?
Yes, breakfast and
Okay.
lunch.
Good.
Go ahead. Rosa is working all of that out for us. But yes, it will be the arts. There will be a keynote performance. There will be a saxophonist, Candy, to take us through those dead spots that we have. And, so the event is meant to be engaging. And come at any point of the day. If you want to come in the afternoon because you got stuff to do in the morning. I know there's another event happening right here on the same day, similar. So you might want to come to both events. That's cool. But just show face and strategize with us.
Thank you. Here at Silverman.
Oh, sorry, East Harlem Community Partnership Office. Thank you, Mark. That is on 71 East 111th Street. That is in between Park and Madison Avenue.
Thank you. Awesome. District needs and budget, and then next will be economic development and culture.
I have nothing to report for district needs and budgets as we meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, Jose. Emily
Yeah,
Vasquez is currently on.
We meet Thursday,
Jose.
so
Yeah.
so we have
You
nothing
meant-
to report until we
Okay.
meet. I guess we'll do a double report next month.
Okay, thank you very much. Executive is not meeting this month. Everything that we were going to discuss was discussed tonight during my chair report. Please take that under advisement. New business, we have, and again, because there was no quorum by just one member, we have these items. I was just informed by Angel that all docs have been provided, correct, for all the applications? No.
For that one that I know.
For number 7, okay. So the others 5, 6, they're complete? Just to double check. Okay. Do you want to read these in or?
The only one that didn't have docs is number 8.
Number 8, okay. Okay. Yes, Adem.
Here, number 6.
No applicants, okay. Okay, number 5 is Area Latina Bar and Grill Corp. Corporate change application for a full liquor license. Number 6 is 0333638 for a restaurant located on 2117 3rd Avenue, corner of 116th Street. All the documents were provided. If there are no objections, I will entertain a motion. Candy, motions to approve. Second, Claudia Perez. All those in favor? Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 6, Janez LLC doing business as Azalea is a new application for wine, beer, and cider license for a restaurant located at 409 East 116th Street and First Avenue. And all the documents were provided, and the applicant is not here. Adam, any reason to oppose this application?
There's like a 2-second backstory. They came, I think, the month before. I don't know if they even presented, but we denied it because as the place exists, I believe it's like more of like a deli or a grocery store, which we haven't really been a fan of giving on-premises licenses to. I could get into the reasons, but I think people could kind of figure those out. We would have liked to have the opportunity to speak to them to see what modifications they were going to put in if they were planning to have on-premise liquor. And so without them being present, I don't think we can ask those questions. I was also informed that they are just planning to come back in December anyway, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. Angel?
That's correct. They also refused to submit a withdrawal form. So per our procedure, we typically deny to go on the record until we receive such form.
Okay. I will then therefore procedurally entertain a motion to deny. Eugene?
Local bread there or anything like that. It's not over there. I go there and eat all the time. It's a restaurant. That's what it is.
Okay, I never called it a bodega, so.
Okay.
It's not.
So I'm entertaining a motion procedurally that they didn't, yes. Okay, is there a second? Asher? Second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Eugene is opposed. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Number 7, 97th and Lex Rest LLC doing business as Lexington Public renewal application for full liquor license number 1344678 for a restaurant located at 1504 Lexington Avenue, corner 97th. All docs have been received. This is a renewal, so we do not require them to show up. Is there a motion to approve? John Green? Motion to approve? Yes, a second. Candy Vuz Vasquez? All those in favor? Any opposed? Huh? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. All right, number 8, DNA Diner Corp. doing business in Monte Carlo Diner renewal application for wine, beer, and cider license number 024-23-1411490 for a restaurant located at 2162 2nd Avenue, 111th Street. All docs were received, correct? Or yep. No docs.
No docs from Monte Carlo.
Okay, so no docs. So typically when we don't receive the docs, we go to deny. I will entertain a motion to deny. Mark Bogorski, motion denied. Seconded. Jessica Morris, you had your hands raised. Seconded. Jessica Morris. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Number 9, 1569 Lex LLC doing business. Aren't you glad you sit on licenses and permits now? Lex doing business is Ojuo Harlem, renewal application for wine beer cider license number 1328207 for a restaurant located at 1569 Lexington Avenue, Store 1, 100th Street. Did they, all the materials received? Yep. Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve. Jessica Morris, second. I can't see you. I need Wanda. Oh, okay, you have your mask. Wanda seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Okay, last one. It is not needing a vote. It's administratively approved. So no vote is required on number 10. Finally, a street activity permit, Uptown Grand Central, Farm Stand, Wednesday. It's number 815121 Farmers Market. It's Wednesdays, January 8th, 2025. And that goes from 12 p.m. setup breakdown through December 31st, 2025 at 8 p.m. Locations East 125th between Park and Madison, sidewalk and curb lane closure. Applicant is Kathy Chambers, sponsors Council of the Environment, Inc., doing business Grow NYC. Is there a motion to approve? Sage, motion to approve. John Green, second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Any old business? Any announcements? We are. John. Okay, and with that, we'll call the roll.
Oh, wait, Chair, sorry, I had my hand raised.
I did not see that. Apologize. Nye?
Okay.
Go ahead. Now you have an announcement?
No, just question about, I usually thought we do old business and then new business. No? Okay.
No, we did the new business already. That's what we just did.
Yeah, so my hand was just up just with a humble request to our community board. A recent report came out that 1 in 8 children across our city are homeless or housing insecure. That number has surpassed 100,000 for the last decade, many of which are in our district, some because of the migrant crisis, some because of the fact that we do have a number of shelters in our district. These students face challenges in our education systems across our school district. And I'd love just to ask the community board and our youth and education, as well as all of our committees, to think about how we can, in this holiday season and in the new year, think about programs or ways that we can partner to support these young people across our district.
Thank you very much. And Asher, you have your hand raised. Come over.
No, I plan on adding that as a conversation topic for the youth and education agenda next month. So feel free to come to the meeting.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nye. And with that, we will now call the roll.
Okay, please pay attention to your names. I will call it twice. Jose Altamirano. Jose Altamirano.
Present.
Thank you. Stephanie Arroyo. Stephanie Arroyo. Mar Bogorsky. Thank you. Marcel Bondima. Thank you. Then Brija. Thank you. Kenneth Crouch. Kenneth Crouch.
Present.
Thank you. Jocelyn Cruz. Jocelyn Cruz. Carlos Diaz. Carlos Diaz. Rosa Diaz is myself. Jessica Elliott.
Present.
Judith Febraro. Judith Febraro. Arnice Foster Hernandez. Thank you. David Giordano. Thank you. John Green. Pascal Hanu. Wanda Hopkins. Thank you. Christina Johnson. Christina.
She's present.
Also. Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson. Jewel Jones. Sage Mason. Malik McCulloch. Here. Jennifer Mayer. Jessica Morris. Thank you. Nilsa Orama.
Please keep the talking down while we call the roll. Thank you.
Beverly Pavone is excused. Samantha Pedreiro. Thank you. Claudia Perez. Thank you. Valerie Ponte. Valerie Ponte. I don't hear her. Asha Rodriguez. Thank you. Eugene Rodriguez. Thank you. Jennifer Rosado. It's not here. Jennifer Rosado. Don Sanders.
Here.
Thank you. Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Thank you. Isaac Scott. Thank you. Russell Schuller. Thank you. Loretta So. Thank you. Derek Stampone. Thank you. Alida Chickenbone. Okay. Now, Vincent Torres. Thank you. Amarie Vasquez. Jason Villanueva. Thank you. Hilda Bisbes Vasquez. Thank you. Nye Whitaker.
Here.
Thank you. Justina Williams. Justina Williams. Michelle Wilcher Clemens. Shanique Wolfog.
Here.
Thank you. Jason Wu. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy couple.